the eternal and omnipresent ignorance of human beings. We're all guilty. There's no way we can know everything. Who would want to? But I have developed a need. For some reason, I want to share moments in my life with those people I call friends. And that's clearly a problem because that's where the trouble begins. We all start off making friends basically due to proximity. He lives next door. We're in the same class at college. We're in the same fraternity. He wears the same shoes. I like your shoes. She likes sex in the janitor's closet in the business building at SDSU. Sounds like an unlikely alliance, but, that's just the beginning. There are all kinds of unlikely alliances and improbable alliances and unfortunate alliances and things you just shouldn't have fucking done because you put yourself in a little box, a little mental box. And then you had to pretend. But then you travel. Travel is like a magic pill, some kind of potion. I mean, imagine if they sold it at Walmart in a little bottle and everybody could take it and we could all have a broader perspective. Well, when you travel, you meet people you could have never imagined. Chief among those people that you meet is you. You had no idea who you were, or more to the point, who you would or could become. Meantime, all those convenient friends back home, wherever that is, pursued a new car and a bigger house, a country club membership, and a better set of golf clubs. And often, a set of bigger tits or a tighter face. Just look at Nancy Pelosi. Anybody who's watched her over the years of her assaulting American values and being the privileged bitch that she is has come to recognize her eyebrows are in liftoff mode. One more, whoof, gone. Oh, like an Elon Musk project. Did Elon Musk send Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows into orbit? What a piece of shit she is. Damn. But that's the world we're living in. Now, clearly, that is a harsh assessment. But it's an assessment that is tempting to make when these friends start criticizing your choices and opinions in life. And okay, disagree, but have some reasons and give me some facts. Have they watched? And just for example, this is not self-promoting, it's just a little experience I have, and I realize that I'm 1,000th or smaller of many people out there living life. Though I have interacted with a number of cultures, so I feel like I have some credibility in commenting on, what's going on in South Korea, Japan, Mexico, so on. I've lived with the families there, so I'm not a complete moron. But let's take some examples about these people that want to criticize your opinions, the way you look at the world. Well, have they watched a South Korean dog? Picture a German Shepherd, because those are pretty common when in this particular category of dog. Have they watched a South Korean German Shepherd meat farmer hang that German Shepherd from a tree and beat it to death with a bat to tenderize the meat? I have. I saw that many times on Jeju-do Island, off South Korea. There was a dog farm right next to one of my schools out in the country. If they attempted to enter, why would I say that? If they attempted to enter an izakaya in a suburb of Tokyo, we used to take we get on the subway some nights, me and my buddy Dan Finnegan, and we just randomly pick a place to get off and go learn about the local population there. How many of these people that want to criticize me, in my opinion, have done that? And then you end up at the door of the izakaya or the little ma and pop bar, and they say, "No Americans, no Americans." Have these people that want to criticize me and my opinions been walking along the street in Mexico City with a friend, a Mexican friend? He lived there. When a car veered over and a thug with a metal pipe reached out the window and smashed his skull, and he ended up in a coma in the hospital and then died. Have these people that want to criticize my opinion been sleeping in a small tent off the Pacific coast of Baja when suddenly the zipper of the tent door was unzipped and a man with a lantern and a rifle stood staring at me? I'm not sure why I survived that one. But he turned and walked away. He could have easily we're in the fucking middle of nowhere. Could easily have just shot me, taken everything. But he didn't. Have they ever been walking through a 200-yard tunnel that runs under a major roadway in Mexico City at midnight, lit only by one dim bulb in the center? One bulb, maybe 40 watts, 100 watts, I don't know. But you surely couldn't see the other, and all you knew is there was, it looks like there's a light somewhere in the middle. So you're coming home from the theater at midnight alone after you've developed some kind of comfort level because you're living with the family in the Tacubaya neighborhood in Mexico City, which I only learned later was gang haven, one of the most dangerous places to live in Mexico City. But I got comfortable. Started going everywhere at all hours of the day and night. And I was coming home from watching a movie, walking through the tunnel. And this is like something out of a Clint Eastwood movie. I'm walking towards the light. I see these shadows walking in my direction toward the light. And the tunnel is probably a good 10 feet wide, plenty of room for us all to pass. They were walking side by side. So as we approached the light and happened to meet right under the light, I mean, it's like a fucking movie. It's hard to believe this story. People don't even believe me when I tell them. But as we're about to pass each other, these four guys shift over and walk in front of me and stop me. What a mess that was. It's, it's just lucky that I was in such incredible shape. I mean, I'd have to guess none of these guys had ever worked out in their lives. They surrounded me, and I had on this big jacket, one of those flight jackets. A girlfriend of mine had bought it for me. And they all grabbed the jacket. And as they were pulling it off of me, just yanking it off, I jumped up in the air and I kicked the guy directly in front of me in the head and knocked him out. But they managed to get my watch. They all had their hands on me. Managed to get my jacket, my wallet, and my watch. And I wonder to this day, did I kill that guy? I mean, it was full force fucking kick in the head. He went down, hit the back of his head on the concrete. Who knows, But I left Mexico the next day. It's like, uh-oh. This place is not safe, and I may be wanted for murder in Mexico now, so I think I'll go home. What an experience. So these people that want to criticize me, have they ever experienced that? No. I don't want to hear from people who have no sense of adventure. And again, let me backtrack here. I realize that, there are people out there living the adventure years and decades, and coming from a poor family, I had to work my way up to this, and I managed to get in a few years of adventure. So I have, 1,000, 10,000s, 1 millionths of the adventures. Maybe I happened upon some pretty extreme stuff accidentally because I am careless. Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go do that. But I don't want to hear from people who have no sense of adventure and no willingness to take risk. You are nothing to me. You have wasted your life, losers. Feel safe in that job? You got the apartment that makes you look good, or the condo, or the house that you can stand in front and look proud. Oh, look at what I did. Well, you fucking wasted your life. I have no respect for people who have never taken a risk. And it's not their fault, It's just they got caught up, in the machine, the status machine. Everybody's got to have a bigger house and a BMW. You have to drink the right smoothies. You know, you have to look good in Starbucks on Saturday morning. Fuck. So while living in Antigua, Guatemala, and I have a couple of notes about Antigua, Guatemala, so I'll start off with this one. I live with a family there, parents and 3 kids, and I mean I was on the edge of the city, like I don't know, 3 miles away from city center, so I had to, ride a bike or take a long walk to get home at night, where I was living with the family. Fucking fantastic people. I loved them to death, and they loved me. So one time, he was ex-military, but there was a soccer team, several soccer teams actually, military soccer team, and so he took me on some local military base there to watch a soccer game. And we did. We had fun. People brought around those weird meat sticks that, oh, fuck, I can't stand those things. But then there were beers, and hell, it was a lot of fun. But then I noticed there were blonde-haired babies in the crowd. So I still don't know what to think of that. I mean, maybe some Central Americans are born with blonde hair, and then don't know what to think about that, and you can make what you want of it. Anyway, so while I was living with them, the end of the month came, and I thought, well, I'll try out a new family. Much as I love these people, it's a little too far from my school in the center of Antigua, Guatemala, so I'm going to try out a new family. These people happen to live right next to the school, but I got sick. I got really sick. I mean, I've never been this sick, and I bet you haven't either. I could not stand up. And all I could do was crawl across the floor to the bathroom and try to lift myself to throw up in the toilet. But I couldn't lift myself enough to shit. So I would just shit in the drain in the center of the bathroom. There wasn't much because it was like 7 days. Most food has worked its way through in liquid fashion. Fucking. But here's the bright side of the story. Chance in a million. I had made a friend at school. He was a German doctor. And he came to check up on me and realized I was about to die. I had literally lost like 20 pounds in 1 week. And as a doctor, he had brought loads of drugs for this and that possible problem. And he put me on some antibiotic treatment and cared for me for the next 7. He literally sat beside me hours, ready to perform some kind of CPR or something. He thought I was going to die. And so what an amazing thing. What a great guy. So he took care of me until I could stand up again. His name was Frank. I never learned his last name, but I am alive because of Frank. Frank, if by some weird chance you ever hear this, I love you. You are a gift from God. It would have been over for me. So you would think, after that experience, I would want to get out of Dodge. Out of Dodge. What the fuck? That's a, what was that? Well, that's from what show? I would want to get out of Dodge and head home, but nope. Stubborn idiot. Frank told me about a new resort. Quote unquote resort. They're developing on the Pacific coasts. And he said, let's go. We did. Now you have to remember, this is, fuck, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was like 90 or 91. Costa Rica, and it was considered a pretty safe country, and very little development. So we're talking 30 years ago, before all these places had been exploited by Wall Street money. So anyway, he told me about some resort he heard of from some guy somewhere. Turns out this was the time of early development of resorts in Guatemala. Quote unquote resorts. Our transportation to the resort was a guy named Juan. Could you have guessed that? And Juan had an old Toyota pickup with a shell on it. I think it might have been the first Toyota ever made. Juan was a nice guy. But anyway, so Frank and I had to ride in the bed of the truck because Juan had his kids in the seat up in the front of the ancient Toyota truck. And here's the part, and I have done Google searches, and I have seen this in Google Maps. The road, quote unquote, that we took was not a road. It was a riverbed. No shit. A fucking riverbed. There were no roads to this new resort. Now, I imagine the guy today is a multi-zillionaire. He was there first, and then they probably brought some money in there and developed all this stuff. But this was a tough time. So it's a fucking riverbed, but it's in the season where there's no water, right? So you can actually walk along it, or if you're really dumb, you can try to drive a truck in it. If you're trying to promote your buddy's resort, you're going to do whatever it takes. I mean, few of us understand how desperate these people are just to make a living. And they will do anything, almost. So anyway, it was 40 fucking miles. I've looked at it on Google Maps. 40 fucking miles in a riverbed with those river stones. Most of them are pretty well rounded off, but it's no smooth ride, I'll tell you that. Frank and I had to ride in the bed of that truck. Just imagine, if you will. And this is probably a poor analogy. I could probably think of a better one, but I do all this stuff ad libs. I'm not. I'll come up with something better later, and then I'll go, gosh, I wish I would have said that. But imagine, if you will, being thrown into a large blender and blended for 2 hours. Aside from the car sickness, the puking, which both of us did, and the bruises that took weeks to disappear. we, we were bounced all over the back of that truck. What a wonderful trip that was. Hey, Frank, wasn't that a nice trip? Well, we should do that again. Fuck you, Frank. I'm never going on any more of your fucking trips. I don't like you anymore, even though you saved my life. Fuck you. Anyway, we got to the resort. And it was a small, unfinished building made out of those blocks. The kind you get at Home Depot. They're like, I don't know, what are they, 6 by 12? They're whatever. The rooms had the luxurious accommodations of bunk beds made from fallen trees. You know what? You have to admire these guys trying to promote this. I bet they are millionaires today, zillionaires, whatever. At least they were doing something. So you got to give them that. And they got us to come there, and we're no dummies. I got a degree in physics, and Frank is a doctor from Germany. And they got us to come there. So who are the idiots in this equation? And the culinary accommodations were fully comprised by a circle of stones, upon which was placed some old metal grate from maybe a broken down refrigerator. I'm not sure what. It just maybe an oven or something. Hey, Frank, are we living the life now? Look at this. Oh my gosh, how much fun do we have? I mean, this is fantastic stuff, right? I wish everybody could have experienced something like this, but they don't. So we go to, after having our wonderful dinner, I forget what they made us. It was a pretty good meal, though. It involved lobster and some kind of fish, and beans and rice and tortillas and everything. The food was great. The food was fucking great. I mean, the guy's wife could really cook, and they had some good stuff. So then we have to go to our little concrete rooms with the bunk beds, and there's only one light. It's just like the tunnel in the middle of that Mexico tunnel. It's a one little bulb. And there's a switch. They actually have a switch. They actually had switches back at that time. So anyway, Frank and I go in, and he wants the top bunk. And I didn't, clearly, Frank was probably smarter than me. He was a doctor, and I was only a physicist. But he was going to take the top bunk. So, sure, why not? Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. And so it's later that night. And I don't know if he had managed to go to sleep yet, but I hadn't. Well, for some reason, I just could not sleep. And and suddenly I heard this clacking sound. Think of well, I don't know. I take a lobster claw and hit it against the ground, the concrete. Clack, 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 clack. So I was like, uh-oh, uh-oh. something's in our something's in our room that should not be in our room. So I got up and I blindly worked my way over to the switch and I turned it on. And there was this fucking crab crawling across the floor. Big red crab. But that wasn't the bad part. You know, I mean, okay, crabs, right? Not going to hurt anybody. But above my bed. And this is what caused me to go outside and sleep on the beach that night. Above my bed, on hanging just off the edge, right below Frank, was this fucking spider. I've never seen anything like it. It was, of course, I'd love to exaggerate and say it was 12 feet across. But without exaggerating, I would say it was tarantula size. Tarantula size. And I saw that. I mean, the crab was okay. Fuck it, okay, a crab. You know, no big deal. And the crab had crawled in through one of the vent holes in the building. For some reason, he had, you know, like he'd leave a brick out. The guy who built this place leave a brick out, and so there was some ventilation. And so the crab had crawled in. But that spider, whew, scary. Now, if that crab had not come in, I hate to think about it. I went and slept on the beach. I feel more comfortable on the beach. Frank killed the spider. We kicked the crab out and put one of our T-shirts in the hole so nothing else could enter, and he slept in the building. But I couldn't do it. I mean, maybe I was in more danger out on the beach, but I just didn't want to go back into that fucking building. Ah, well, aside from all that adventure, another thing happened at that resort I did not and could not have expected. Fuck. You just like to think, you like to think you're not a victim of ignorance, but it's like the old, what is it, Socrates, whoever it was, that said, you know, the more I know, the less I know. You know what I mean? And holy shit, that's been my life experience. The more I know, the less I know. And this is something I could not have expected. The owner of the resort had llamas. I mean, who had ever heard of a llama in the 90s? I sure hadn't. I was like, what are those? Are those strange cows? Are they deformed? Has there been a genetic mishap? So this guy, you got to give him credit, starting a resort in the early 90s where there was no road to get to it. You had to take a riverbed to get there. I got to give this guy a lot of credit. Yeah, but he thought everyone would one day want a llama. We're in a concrete building with bunk beds made out of fallen trees, and this guy is already looking to the future of llamas as pets. I tell you, this is where all my creativity comes from, whatever there is. I just realized Oh my gosh, pretty much anything you can imagine is possible. I had never, and here's the funny thing. Uh, First of all, I had never seen llamas, and I surely had never seen llamas have sex. But I got to. In fact, I had never even. Well, no, I take that back. I have seen dogs have sex, but llama sex is an entirely different fucking event. It's violent. It's all over the place, and it's swirling and twirling, and but if you ever have a chance to watch llamas have sex, just do it. And after the dude llama, the male llama comes, he just rolls over and passes out. He literally falls on the ground and goes to sleep. Yeah, so it reminds me of the commonality of species, you know. It's like we're different, but we're not all that different. At least, you know, the those of us who have males and females. So clearly I'm not talking about Democrats. They're all fucked up. Who knows what the hell they are now? So I tell you what, though, watching that llama sex, and I think we're eating carne asada and drinking margaritas, so it just made it all the better. Oh, how much better can a show get? And we're on the beach. I'll tell you what that explains. It explains a lot to me. Men and women have sex. Now, anybody out there listening, you know that, right? Men and women have sex, and you've probably participated in that once or more. And then there's a thing that happens, and there's actually I forget what the technical stuff is, but there's a chemical that's created in the man's brain after he ejaculates, and so it's a natural reaction, you know. And so, but you got the woman who's, I don't know if anything chemical is going on there. I mean, half the time they're probably faking it. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. So, except for with me, I mean, no way they fake it with me. I mean, they're loving it. They're like, ooh, oh, this is the best ever. But due to some kind of chemical reaction, due to ejaculation, men just want to go to sleep. They just want to roll over and go to sleep. While women, they want to have a conversation. It's amazing. It's amazing we're still living in times when women don't know when to shut up. And I think that's actually a fair thing to do and say, you know. It's like, are you kidding me? You're not aware of the hormone thing that happens to men after they ejaculate, and you want to have a conversation about how you feel? Fuck. And it reminds me of that Joseph Campbell line, all the gods, all the heavens, all the hells are within you. And at that moment, women who want to have a conversation with a guy who is being put to sleep by natural hormone effects are creating their own hell. They're just not right in the head. and and that probably explains why a lot of guys run after having sex with a woman. It's like, oh, nah, you go ahead. You have a conversation. I'm out of here. You know, I mean, I look at it this way. We could have just had sex, and appropriately, she could have just said, thank you, and gone to sleep. But no. She wants to talk about some pointless shit like her feelings. Llamas. If you ever have the chance, watch a llama. Well, takes two. Watch llamas have sex. It's one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. And when that male llama rolls over and goes to sleep, you are going to laugh your ass off.